Hi, I'm Addie with Jean Barnett Trone Memorial Library, and I'm here to read a few chapters from Aesop's Fables. We'll be starting today with The Fox and the Hedgehog. A fox, swimming across the river, was barely able to reach the bank, where he lay bruised and exhausted from his struggle from the swift current. Soon a swarm of blood-sucking flies settled on him, but he lay quietly, still too weak to run away from them. A hedgehog happened by. "Let me drive the flies away," he said kindly. "No, no," exclaimed the fox. "Do not disturb them. They have taken all they can hold. If you drive them all away, another greedy swarm will come and take the little blood I have left. Better to bear a lesser evil than to risk a greater in removing it." Next we have The Bat and the Weasels. A bat blundered into the nest of a weasel, who ran up to catch and eat him. The bat begged for his life, but the weasel would not listen. "You are a mouse," he said, "and I am a sworn enemy of mice. Every mouse I catch, I am going to eat." "But I am not a mouse," cried the bat. "Look at my wings. Can mice fly? Why, I am only a bird. Please let me go." The weasel had to admit that the bat was not a mouse, so he let him go. But a few days later, the foolish bat went blindly into the nest of another weasel. This weasel happened to be a better enemy of birds, and he soon had the bat under his claws, ready to eat him. "You are a bird," he said, "and I am going to eat you." "What?" cried the bat. "I, a bird? Why, all birds have feathers. I am nothing but a mouse. Down with all cats is my motto." And so the bat escaped with his life for a second time. Set your sails with the wind. Next we have the Quack Toad. An old toad once informed all his neighbors that he was a learned doctor. In fact, he could cure anything. The fox heard the news and hurried to see the toad. He looked the toad over very carefully. "Mr. Toad," he said, "I've been told that you can cure anything, but just take a look at yourself and then try some of your own medicine. If you can cure yourself of that blotchy skin and that rheumatic gait, someone might believe you. Otherwise, I should advise you to try some other profession. Those who would mend others should first mend themselves." Up next we have The Fox Without a Tail. A fox that had been caught in a trap succeeded at last, after much painful tugging, in getting away. But he had to leave his beautiful bushy tail behind him. For a long time he kept away from the other foxes, for he knew well enough that they would all make fun of him and crack jokes and laugh behind his back. But it was hard for him to live alone, and at last he would have thought of a plan that would perhaps help him out of his trouble. He called a meeting of all the foxes, saying that he had something of great importance to tell the tribe. When they were all gathered together, the fox without a tail got up and made a long speech about those foxes who had come to harm because of their tails. This one had been caught by hounds when his tail had become entangled in the hedge. That one had not been able to run fast enough because of the weight of his brush. Besides, it was well known, he said, that men hunt foxes simply for their tails, which they cut off as prizes for the hunt. With such proof of the danger and uselessness of having a tail, said Master Fox, he would advise every fox to cut it off, if he valued life and safety. When he had finished talking, an old fox arose and said, smiling, "Master Fox, kindly turn around for a moment, and you shall have your answer." When the poor fox without a tail turned around, there arose such a storm of jeers and hooting that he saw how useless it was to try and persuade the foxes to part with their tails. Do not listen to the advice of him who seeks to lower you to his own level. Next we have the Mischievous Dog. There was once a dog who was so ill-natured and mischievous that his master had to fasten a heavy wooden clog about his neck to keep him from annoying visitors and neighbors. But the dog seemed to be very proud of the clog, and dragged it about noisily as if he wished to attract everybody's attention. He was not able to impress anyone. "You would be wiser," said an old acquaintance, "to keep that quietly out of sight with that clog. Do you want everybody to know what a disgraceful and ill-natured dog you are? Notoriety is not fame." The Rose and the Butterfly. A butterfly once fell in love with a beautiful rose. The rose was not indifferent, for the butterfly's wings were powdered in a charming pattern of gold and silver. And so, when he fluttered near and told her how he loved her, she blushed rosily and said yes. After much pretty love-making and many whispered vows of constancy, the butterfly took a tender leave of his sweetheart. But alas, it was a long time before he came back to her. "Is this your constancy?" she exclaimed tearfully. "It is ages since you went away, and all the time you have been carrying on with all sorts of flowers. I saw you kiss Miss Geranium, and you fluttered around Miss Mignonette until Honeybee chased you away. I wish he had stung you. Constancy, laughed the butterfly. I had no sooner left you than I saw Zephyr kissing you. You carried on scandalously with Mr. Bumblebee, and you made eyes at every single bug you could see. You can't expect any constancy from me. Do not expect constancy in others if you have none yourself. The Cat and the Fox. Once a cat and a fox were traveling together. As they went along picking up provisions on the way, a stray mouse here, a fat chicken there, they began an argument to while away the time between bites. And as usually happens when comrades argue, the talk began to get personal. You think you are extremely clever, don't you? Said the fox. Do you pretend to know more than I? Why, I know a whole sack full of tricks. Well, retorted the cat, I admit I know one trick only, but that one, let me tell you, is worth 1,000 of yours. Just then, close by, they heard a hunter's horn and the yelping of a pack of hounds. In an instant, the cat was up in a tree, hiding among the leaves. This is my trick, he called to the fox. Now let me see what yours are worth. But the fox had had so many plans for escape he could not decide which one to try first. He dodged here and there with the hounds at his heels. He doubled back on his tracks. He ran at top speed. He entered a dozen burrows, but all in vain. The hounds caught him and soon put an end to the boaster and all of his tricks. Common sense is always worth more than cunning. Lastly, we have the boy and the nettle. A boy, stung by a nettle, ran home crying to get his mother to blow on the hurt and kiss it. Son, said the boy's mother when she had comforted him, the next time you come near a nettle, grasp it firmly, and it will be as soft as silk. Whatever you do, do with all your might. And that's all we have for now, so we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, bye.